people more to people around us uh, about coming, coming and visiting. Even if we can get them to come just once, maybe it will set some things in motion. But we need to share those invites. I think adding the subject of the meeting or who our speaker is going to be, that sort of information, because we have all that. So, and it's up in their bios, and take that and put it in to the reminder emails just as well. Just so, and at that point, at least, then you all know what to expect. And
Yeah,
maybe
I think also in the reminder email. So for example, if the reminder email comes out on a Tuesday, say what this week's program is, but then also say what next week's program is. And that way, if people get excited about next week's program, they might put it on their calendar or make a better effort to see it because they know what next week is as well.
that's a really good point. Even if we had a basic speakers list, and just kind of kept it moving up. Because I'm trying to think of an easy way for Uda to manage it.
I think
So maybe
that'd be the
that's something
easiest
I'll
way.
build for her and give over to her. That way it could be like, yeah, just go ahead and, cut and paste this right into the email. But yeah, no, it's been, it's been tough. It's been tough. We've been talking about this in our BOD meetings. What do we do in some ways, and you all have to remember, I was not a Rotarian prior to joining this group, so I don't have the same mentality. So I'm probably throwing some really out of the box stuff at everyone, and I've had a couple people who are like, no, and it's like, are you sure? But we're trying to find ways to connect and get people. We've even gone as far as, are we meeting too often? And I actually have a survey that I need to send out to everybody going, where do you stand on this? Would less meetings a month, that way, okay, it's the first and third Wednesdays of the month, or, what's going on? I know we all have things to do. I'm not, I don't delude in my mind, I don't delude myself in thinking this is, the main thing on everybody's calendar every week. But how do we get this connected? How do we, make some things happen within our group?
Well, couple of things. First of all, I totally agree. And some of those out of the box things that you're talking about, you got to get them out there. I mean, it's I've been associated with a couple of old clubs, and they just got so stale and so routine. So I like the fact that we're doing some things that are going to be new and different, and I think that's important. I like the suggestion that we get announced a couple weeks ahead. Our meeting this week is going to be, and next week is going to be. If you remember, those of you that were on a couple weeks ago, we had a young lady from Guatemala that joined us, and Jerry went down there. Of course, he's down there now, met with her, and I got an email from Jerry saying that he is going to be submitting a new member application for her, as well as possibly a new member application for her friend. So it just, you never know where you're going to find them.
Yeah,
That's
I'll
true.
support her membership. Definitely. She was
She was
cool.
very good. I'd love to have her as a member.
How many emails do we send out every week?
One.
Well, I mean, as far as how many people does it go to?
Actually, let me look at one thing.
I want to say 40 or 44.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's in the 40. It's close to 40 if we get everybody.
How do we increase the quantity of emails? I mean, as far as adding new prospective members, it seems to me if we had an easy way to add a person's email to the prospective list and those people started getting new emails, it might help promote it.
Yeah, I don't know if I want more emails, but I agree with you. I think it would be nice to, especially when we have a guest, to make sure we follow up with an email.
Yeah, we could add a category in the email list, just call it prospective members. or
Prospective
friends or
members,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I don't know if I should take this personal, but I haven't gotten an email in months. Do you
Check
see
your
you send one out?
spam.
You send one out each week? I
Yep.
have.
There's a reminder that goes out every week. So then maybe we need to check, where are your emails going?
I
sent one
used
out
to
too.
get them and then they just stopped.
Oh,
Sorry.
You
definitely.
didn't unsubscribe, did you?
No, not this week. No.
Did you change computers or phones? I just went
Nope.
through that. I had to reset
Nope.
stuff.
Check your
Nothing's
your junk-
changed.
Check your spam folder, because I sent one out this morning about 8:15, but it comes from Rotary. It's not from my email, so it might be getting filtered out.
No, I got it.
See, you know, what's funny is it didn't come from me. So now I want to go back and look.
Actually, I do
You
have
sent
it
it
in
out
my
through
spam.
Clubrunner?
So, yeah,
It is, okay.
yeah, I don't know, it didn't used to do that, but it, okay. Well,
So that does-
I don't feel quite so hurt now. I figure you guys just took me off the list.
No, because the way it comes out is it's from @clubrunner.email. So it's not a regular email address. And I just found the one that David sent this morning. Because I was like, I didn't see it either. So I searched, but apparently I was not searching for it properly. So that actually may be one problem that we need to kind of maybe more often discuss, make sure people are receiving emails, that they are seeing things coming through from UDA, or, from us in general. We do use that Club Runner for all of the emails. So that is a really, really good point. But Ron, I'll double check your email address too, just to make sure, I'll just pop you
Yeah.
a quick note through there just to make sure you see it.
I found the one from David.
Oh,
but
good.
It's
Okay.
it's a little perplexing though, because I get them from my home club and I get them from the district of my home club and this club. And they all come from Club Runner also.
Oh, weird.
So
That is really
I'm not
strange.
sure what it is about, maybe my computer doesn't like David.
Well, no,
Maybe
well,
David should take it personal.
It's not normally David. It's been
Your
Uda.
computer
Normally
doesn't
it's
give me a
Uday.
chance, I don't think.
But that's actually a good point. Is just maybe as we're in session, just to remind people, hey, did you receive the most recent email we've sent out? Because I kind of wonder about that too. When we send out these surveys and things like that, am I pitching it out into the black hole, or is somebody reading it going, I'm not going to bother answering it, it's not going to apply to me, blah, 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 blah. So,
Well,
I
there's
just wonder
people we
about
haven't heard from in a long time, like Brian Green. Maybe, I mean, and we've had
Yeah.
people that, we just
Yeah, kind
disappeared.
of-
Maybe that has something to do with.
well, and I'd like to think, hey, if you have something going on, or there's something happening with you, hey, say something, let us know. And because we did have that instance of, apparently there were some big life things going on for somebody and we had no idea, and that turned into a whole weird issue. But we're trying to figure out how how to get better engagement, figure out what do people really want from this situation. So that's some of what we have been discussing in the board meetings. And just a reminder to everyone here, if you want to attend a board meeting, we meet, what is it, the second Tuesday of the month?
Second Tuesday.
yeah, at this URL. So, everyone is free, free to kind of witness it. Boy, I'm not sure that's a good idea. It comes out of my mouth right now, but
Didn't we move the next one though?
I'm trying to, and I apologize to everyone on here. I have not, we're trying to figure out, should we go with Thursday that week? We're trying to get, once again, everybody's busy. So it's hard to get, get everyone together. And unfortunately, the month of March for me is like my big volunteering month. Here in Houston, we have the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, and I've been volunteering for the last 7 years. And I'm actually what they call a gatekeeper. That's my actual committee. And so I work throughout the month of March. And so it's like all of a sudden I realize, oh crap, I can't be there because I'm going to be standing in the middle of an arena full of people with horses and bulls and all sorts of craziness. So yeah, March is bad for me. Even my husband knows March is bad for me.
Just a thought, since we belong to a district and you talked about not really knowing a lot about Rotary. Some of us know more than we probably want to, but the district in which we're located has a variety of speakers on subjects that we could invite in. Now, being a past district governor, I have had the opportunity to maybe overdo some of these kinds of things, but I think an occasional update on the peace conferences or even the foundations, some of the things that Rotary is doing both at the district and the international level. I think those would be good for us to plug in from time to time.
No, that's really good feedback.
Good
That's
idea.
not something I thought of at all.
Oh, we are a Rotary Club. Doesn't hurt to learn more about us.
No,
Yeah, things
And
change.
actually-
and-
it's not meant in an offensive fashion.
No,
It's,
no, that's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you.
yeah,
it's-
I think getting some of these updates, because then that will also give us a connection back to our current district. It would give us a better connection back to Rotary in general. I speak from my own experience, and there are times people where I'm like, why am I doing this job? There's a lot of why.
You're new, so you get to do all the good jobs.
Yeah, I get to do all the good jobs, but I got to tell you, some days it makes me go, why? Why am I
Yeah.
doing this? Why am I making myself crazy? And does anybody really notice or care? That's the thing that I need to impress.
Trust me, we notice and care.
I know. And Keith is actually like my biggest cheerleader. Bless him. He is an awesome cheerleader for me. And he's like, it's okay. It's all good. Just keep doing it. And I'm like, I do, but some days I wonder.
Just an example, I was district governor in 08, 09, and things have changed so much during that, 10, 12 years that even I, who might think I know a lot about it, can learn. So I really do think we could all take advantage of some updates on different things. I'm not at all familiar with the district that this club is in. I'm from 6600 in Northwest Ohio, and there are some dynamite speakers there too who are involved with Rotary. We could bring some of those people in, I'm sure.
Well, that's the nice thing about this is we've got all these different districts. We've got people we get from everywhere.
Yes. Those some, I think, I was recently, Jerry came through Houston kind of on a flyby, and I got to sit down and have dinner with him. And that was actually a really good connective moment. And that was just a really good reminder. It's like that's I understand where Uda's like, we need to have that once we're gonna hopefully many of us will be at the RI in June, and we'll have a chance to sit down and visit and meet, and that will hopefully connect a lot. But you know, on kind of on a top of everything else, you know, I'm hoping to connect with more of my local Houston, you know, IFMR members. I think, you know, it would be great. You know, I lead rides all the time, so I was, you know, I'd be happy to pull some together, or even just, you know, have a meet and greet, you know, just that type of situation where it's like, hey, just come hang out, let's, you know, chat. You know, I learned a lot during our polio ride this year. I met a lot of people, and it was a good experience. And you know, it's like, how can we engage that more often?
You know, Rory and Jerry have made 2 trips to Alaska on their motorcycles. And I think it would be nice to have them present something that relates to both of those tours. And that's been within the past, what, Rory, about the past 6-7 years that you've done that?
Well, Judy and I did it in 2008, and then we did it with Jerry again in 2018.
So it's more contemporary than I thought. Yeah, contemporaneous.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I think it's a great idea for those who aspire to do that trip. Absolutely.
I don't know whether Rory takes a lot of pictures, but Jerry sure as heck does.
I do, I just don't post them as much.
I'm sure.
My first one, I think it was our first trip, I had about 800 pictures on the disc.
That's a lot. Wow. You know, when this club first started, I have a PowerPoint on a trip that my wife and I made to, not Alaska, to Northwest United States. And I could probably dust that out at some particular time, but it was a motorcycle trip, and, you know, it was a lot of fun.
It's a beautiful part of the country. I'd love to see that. Did you get up into Washington or Oregon? Where
Yeah,
were
we
you?
went, how did we go? I lived in Ohio then, so we trucked the bike out to Colorado Springs where my nephew lives. And from there, we left and we went to, let me think, Washington State or Oregon, and then Washington, and then back through a number of other places. We had some neat pictures of different places along the way. I think my favorite part of that was getting a boat ride up the Snake River in Oregon, and you know, just some things like that that I still remember with great fondness. So many of us probably have some things like that that we could do. And I've always thought, and I heard it tonight, some of the best programs come from our own members because we know them, we have a feeling for them, and if they can share their experiences, it really does play out well.
Actually, on that note, in August, I'll be up. If you guys remember, we had Michelle Lamphere here a couple weeks ago. She spoke on her 2-year trip down through South America, and she owns a hotel in Custer, South Dakota. And remember, she's the president of WEMA, and they are having their WEMA National Convention in Custer, South Dakota. And I actually have a room in her hotel. So I am very much looking forward to going up there, and I'm hoping you know that Crazy Treat, because I know that's what it should be subtitled. I always have fun adventures.
An old friend from Ohio who was a Rotarian. She's no longer, I don't think, but she is part of a woman's group that rides, and she's posted all kinds of things on Facebook. Maybe I could contact her and renew a friendship and say, hey, would you like to talk about your experiences with those gals? They seem to have a hell of a lot of fun.
You know, and it's really funny because I talk about that a lot. My riding trips with my girlfriends, we have crazy adventures, and we all come back and we laugh, and we tell their stories that I would be horribly embarrassed if anybody ever heard from this particular group, because I would probably never live some of it down.
Like what?
I'll tell you later. But you know, that those are some of the best trips, and especially, you know, depending on the organization they belong to, things like that. We have a lot of different women's writing organizations, and I would love to, you know, kind of get some of them out there because they're different. It's very different than you know, I think it's because we feel, you know, we feel like we should be doing something. But you know, if I could contact somebody like Portia Taylor, if you don't know who Portia Taylor is, she is the force behind Black Girls Ride. And I got to meet her. We were sitting on a panel together, and I had a fangirl moment. And because this is a woman who has inspired so many women to get out there and to do it and to feel good about doing it. So stuff like that's always really cool to me. So, you know, but I think another valid point here is that, you know, let's tap some district speakers. If you know someone, and I want to get Bella set up to speak to us, and that will probably be in the summer months. But you know, if there's somebody you think, you know, we would have a real interest in hearing from, please just say so. You know, you can email me and I'll follow up with them, and you know, see if we can even track somebody down. But it doesn't, you're right, it doesn't always have to be about the ride, but it's nice when it is. But we, you know, I think some of the science stuff is really cool because I think our inner geek gets to come out a little bit and talk about actually one of the things that was really cool with David's discussion last week was Otto talking about the fact that he had belonged to a couple different astronomy organizations, and it's like that, you know, it's like one of those moments of wow, I would never have thought that. So, you know, and I'd like to think we have other interests as well. So
Well, that's one, I sent you that one about that women's group from the motorcycle magazine. Be interested to hear from them.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. And we have you know, even if we get some you know, some specific event folks out here, I mean, there are things going on all the time. One of our upcoming speakers is the woman behind International Female Ride Day, so I'm really excited because she doesn't speak to groups very often, or groups I've been to. So I'm like really excited to hear from her, and hopefully I'll be able to entice some other, you know, visitors, you know, just get them to come and you hear what she's got to say and how she developed, you know, and now has this whole international following basically.
I would like an update from Dieter.
From who?
Dieter.
He's the guy, he was in South America at one point, and he was back in
Yes.
Europe, that Dieter.
His son passed away, and they rode, that was their bond, was riding motorcycles. So he decided to ride around the world in honor of his son. And he had a lot of great adventures. He had great pictures. I enjoyed hearing about it and seeing the places he had been. I'd like to know, I'd just like to touch base with him again and maybe see where he is now with his in his journey. He was a very engaging
Good
speaker.
idea. He was good.
You know, I for some reason want to say either Scott knows him or Uda knows him. One of them I thought had a connection to him. Somebody did. Well, let's see if we can get him to come back and visit.
Yeah.
How about people who are well ensconced in their own towns might have some speakers of note that have already talked to local Rotary clubs, or you know about them, and they have a message beyond, you know, the local park, but whatever it would be, there's a lot of people that know people, and sometimes they can bring a whole new dynamic to a Rotary club.
Everybody has great ideas. This is the most productive happy hour I've ever been in.
You know, seeing Michelle here, Mickey, she has an interesting background we could learn about, but her husband has a construction business. And I'll bet you a nickel that he could present a rather interesting show about what's going on in contracting and whatever he does in building buildings and so forth. So, you know, there's a thought for us, Mickey.
I'll ask him, but trying to nab him for this meeting's always kind of tough.
Well, tell him he'll be the star.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Tell him
Yeah.
he gets to talk, you know, just talk for, 30, 40 minutes. From what I understand, some people, that's their thing.
That's not his thing, trust me.
They are the
Yeah.
best speakers, by the way, the
Yeah.
best speakers.
No, no, he's definitely has some interesting stuff, obviously not motorcycle related, but could always ask him.
Well, I think it's a good reminder. It doesn't always have to be about that. And, you may
Yeah.
just come across somebody interesting that, oh, hey, let's get them. I thought the gratitude guy was great. He was a really engaging speaker.
Hate to
So
think.
yeah, oh, definitely. I actually just thought of somebody who I should reach out and see if she wants to do it. There's a woman she's out on Padre Island right now, but she's kind of a motivational speaker for women's motorcycling. She helps entrepreneurs kind of find their way, and she is quite the character. That is what I will say about her. So I should find out if she wants to kind of take the stage here, because then she'll look at me and be like, all right, she'll look at me and be like, I'm a patty mouth, and I'm going to be like, yep. So that one will come with a warning.
Either that or we're gonna have to figure out how to bleep and buzz for the items that are being
You
recorded.
need to edit. You're gonna need to edit a little bit. Actually, what's funny is her and I we were at a rally. We were somewhere, and she was telling me about speaking in front of a church had contacted her, and she was like, "Are you sure you're looking for me?" And she can tone it down. She's just a really interesting woman, and she's gone through her life paces like anybody else. So I'll have to find out if she would be interested in coming on.
I was also thinking, I saw a picture of Brian, our first president, what he's doing with his medical background. We babysat him through his final stages of becoming a doctor. And I
Brian
think it would
Green.
be curious to have him come back, because I haven't seen him online here for quite a while. And I think
I've
that would be
contacted
really
them a
good.
couple, times, and they've made it through COVID in spite of their governor.
That's good. And then I see Ron Mead there. I bet you Nico, he could present a heck of a program on what's going on in the dental world.
I haven't been in the dental world for 7 years, so I could tell you some old news, but I could possibly get one of my former partners to do a presentation on on some of their surgical techniques and whatnot, that some of the newer things they're doing now, implants and whatnot.
That would be
So I
terrific.
could look into that.
So I just found out from my granddaughter's going to get braces. They don't do the forms anymore. They just scan them.
There are some very interesting advancements. I've been going through these dental issues, and it is interesting because you think old school, and it's like, oh no, we don't do that anymore. We can like print things, and we can, so yeah, why not?
Yeah, they'll prepare a tooth for a crown, and then scan it and print the crown and cement it in.
3D printers.
Yep.
See,
That's
that's what I
all,
was, that's what I was doing when I left General Motors, was 3D scanning of whole vehicles.
And Roy, that brings up a whole other subject. How close are you to what's going on currently in automobiles?
Not
Particularly with,
much. It
but
has
you know
changed.
people, you know people.
Well, I know a few.
So if anyone's, is anyone near Greenville, South Carolina?
That's Emilio. Emilio's in that area.
Okay, so on April 23rd, our Rotaractors here locally are that are involved in the Eyeglass Project. We're sending them to the Greenville conference. They're gonna have a table and talk about their part in Jerry's project. So maybe I'll hit Emilio up, see if he can come out and support us.
What's
If anyone
going
else
on
would
in
like to come, you're
Greenville?
welcome. Excuse me?
What's going on in Greenville?
So there's the district conference. And so our
Okay.
Rotaractors are gonna have a table there to talk about their part of the Eyeglass Project.
Oh, that's
That's a-
excellent.
That's a great idea to connect with Emilio. I only know where Emilio is because it turns out he services the community that my sister-in-law and brother-in-law live in. So it was like, oh wow, that's a weird small world moment.
Nice. But yeah, it's the District 6910 conference they're gonna be at. But yeah, I'll definitely got to invite Emilio. That'd be good to see him again.
But no, this is all really, really good feedback. And you know, it's so hard to get, it's even hard to get, once again, like you heard us discussing earlier, even trying to get the board of directors, all of us together for a meeting is really difficult. So
It's usually like 4.
yeah, well, no, we need 5 for a meeting. So it's like,
Yeah.
all right, we just kind of eke in and have 5. And so it's difficult to get us all into a single session anyway. But this has been very productive tonight, and I really appreciate feedback. You know, love it, hate it. You know, what do you want to do? You know, one of the things that and Jerry even talked about this in our last board meeting. You know, in his mind, he always envisioned that once a year we would have an actual in-person weekend event. Now this year, of course, I think we're kind of looking at the Houston deal as being kind of that. But you know, kind of moving forward, you know, having a time once a year where, you know, we all get together and it's fellowship, it's maybe team building. I'm trying to remember what else came up in there, but just a chance for us to be together in person, you know, maybe we do some good stuff, you know, have some fun, you know, that type of thing. And I don't think that's a bad idea. I think moving it about the country, you know, it's always difficult to get, you know, to get Scott to an event, obviously coming out of California. You know, it's been difficult to get us out of Texas in August. You know, we're always, you know, hopefully we can come up with something that will work and get everybody together. It'd be really nice.
Before COVID, there was talk about us getting together for the Egypt ride. There was talk about us getting together to go around Australia. I was very excited about that stuff, and I was so sad when it all was shut down. But hopefully, some more international opportunities will come up, and you know, we can meet up someplace. You know, that's
You might,
incredible.
if you're gonna invite Emilio to this district conference, you might want to mention it to Mike Emily too. He's from the Greenwood Club. So he's
Mention
up
it
in,
too.
Mike Emily. He was there with the silver trike, the golden trike at the ride.
He was at the in Carolina.
Right, Maggie
Yeah,
Valley.
Maggie Valley. Yeah.
So he's in that area too.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and on a weird aside, I just read they are getting ready to, they're going to be doing a lot of work down near the Dragon this year and repaving a lot of those roads. So there's something for y'all to, I had 2 trips that we were kind of bouncing back and forth about. One of them here in Texas, they always talk about Big Bend National Park, which is beautiful. but they're tearing up all the roads and have closed a bunch of the campgrounds so that they can actually repave it, which I'm a big fan of repaving, you know, please make it better. But I was like, oh, and then I was like, oh, well, you know, we could go ride the tail of the dragon. Oh no, we're gonna take 6 months and repave that. I'm like, oh, okay, next.
You know, they'll plan it exactly at the time you wanted to go.
I know, and I wanted to get out. I really wanted to get out towards the tail because it's about maybe 2 hours from my husband's family in South Carolina. So I was like, okay, dual purpose trip. I could go ride, and I could go visit my niece and nephew. Who I every time I see them, they call me, and I'm like, oh my god, when did they get so big? So
There's a lot of other great rides in that area.
oh,
not just that.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot around Maggie Valley and the
Mhm.
North Georgia area.
But you got to remember, guys, the selling point was we were going to go to the dragon. We were going to go ride the dragon. And it's like, okay, we're going to go to the area, but we're not going to ride the dragon. We're going to ride the Blue Ridge Parkway, the Moonshine. You know, it's like, you know, this is how I have to sell it to people. I am very lucky. I can kind of take off and go, you know, without a whole lot of consequence. You know, I am my own boss. Insert your own joke here. So it's for me, it's easy. For other people, it's not so much. You have to have the selling points.
Well, if you get out there, make sure you go through the Cherahala Skyway.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I've just got a whole list.
Absolutely gorgeous.
We talk
Geez,
about.
we did.
Hmm?
Sorry,
Please.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say the Natchez. Natchez has been on our list too, and my husband is a blues fan, and I would love to take him up to the Crossroads. So that's kind of one of my trips with him.
Well,
We
you
did
gotta
the
come down here.
Skyway when we were back there in Maggie
From
Valley.
Maggie Valley, yeah.
And it just poured. I mean, we got so dumped on. I mean, I literally couldn't see. I mean, when I stopped and you know, I almost had even trouble getting off the road. It was so bad.
Oh,
I mean, it really came down. And
I'm
it
sorry to hear that.
lasted for 2 minutes, and then we rode on, you know, so.
Hey, Deb,
That's such a beautiful thing.
if you're a blues fan, go to Mississippi as well.
oh
They
yeah.
have what's called the Blues Trail.
Mhm.
And I can tell you stories about our trip to see all the blues stuff in Mississippi, Memphis, all that. It was
Oh
awesome.
yeah, that's what we were looking at, and yeah, because the Crossroads is not that far from all of that, so we were kind of like, ooh, okay, we could ride up the Natchez, you know. Just I'm always like, I'm a tourist. I want to go. I want to see pretty countryside. I don't want to see the highway. I have to explain to people. I'm like, the highway has its uses, granted, but sometimes you just don't want to. You know, I don't want to spend a day, you know, riding at 90 miles an hour, fearing for my life, and just be completely worn out. So yeah, we're looking for fun stuff, and hopefully I'll be able to make some of it happen.
So quick story about our travels to see the blues places. We were on the motorcycle and we pulled into this town. And I swear, as Katie and I rode through the town, it felt like I was back in the 1950s. And we were going to a place, I think it was called the Blue Cafe or something to that effect, but it's very famous in the blues world. And it's a little hole in the wall building. And we stopped because I got out to take a picture of the sign. And so we're there and all dressed in our motorcycle gear. And this Cadillac drives up and this African-American man gets out and he is dressed up in a suit, looking sharp. He was the grandson of the founder of the cafe. And he was looking for his brother to go to church. I mean, it was just a fabulous experience.
You get to meet that's the one thing, you get to meet the most interesting people, you know. I tell people that all the time. If you were to meet my husband and I at the same time, I'm the one who's like, you know, 200 miles an hour head first, and my husband is like, you know, the extrovert behind me, the 6'8" extrovert behind me. And so there's a great story about my husband and I traveling back to South Carolina for family, and my husband is having a fanboy moment because we get on a plane and there's a man sitting up there, and my husband's like, I think that's John Popper from Blues Traveler. And my husband's doing, kind of trying to look and look and look, and this was like a 25-minute flight. We weren't on this plane very long. Well, we get landed and my husband's all disappointed because he doesn't see him. Well, of course, who finds him? And I stop and I start talking to him, and we ended up kind of hanging out with him for part of the weekend while they were playing a show. And it was great. And we have a lot of great memories of it. And, we still actually keep in touch. It's really funny that way. But, I chat with everybody. That's one of the things working at Houston Rodeo. I used to work a lot of VIP gates, and I had the gates where, George Bush would come and go. And so, meeting our former president, meeting our governor, meeting, all sorts of interesting dignitaries coming through. And the woman I worked with, she's like, you'll talk to anybody. I'm like, why not? They're here, they're standing there. And, I've yet had anybody just be like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't speak to you. It's like, okay, that's fine.
Now, that building you're going to be in for the horse show, is that in Houston?
Yes, it is. Actually,
Live?
yeah, it's at the Energy Center area. So I actually work in the stadium, but that's where the old Astrodome is, which we don't use anymore. But Energy Center, Energy Arena. So it's a pretty big. Actually, that's probably a very good topic for a upcoming presentation, and the history of it and everything else. I actually probably could even get a speaker from them to come in and talk. It's a very storied event, and this is our 90th anniversary year. So
it's a very smelly building.
Well, let me tell you, after 3 weeks of livestock living in there, oh, it's definitely not a treat. Let me tell you.
We had our the first U.S. first robotics competition in Houston. The first championship they had down there was in that building. About 3 weeks after that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, people pay a lot of money to sit. There's a seating area in the stadium. They're shoot seats, and these seats are like $300 a pop. It's a whole thing, and people pay a lot of money to sit there. What they don't always think about is that you are literally behind the chutes where the bulls launch from, where the horses launch from. And so I'm up there one night, and I've got a group of women who are sitting in the front row. And they're like, wow, you're really, really close. And wow, they're like marveling over this until literally one of the bulls, they're getting ready to open the chute. The bull rider's about to shoot out of there. And one of those bulls picks up a clod. I'm just going to say a clod of something. You can insert what you think this clod is. And it comes up and it flies up and it lands directly in this woman's drink. And I'm like, welcome to rodeo. And I mean, and they're laughing. They were just dying because they're like, oh my God. I'm like, this is what it's about over here. It's
Sounds pretty crappy to me.
it was because
Well played,
it was
sir.
probably like a $10 drink. So absolutely. A
Did she
lot
drink
of
it?
well, no, I don't think but it was funny because it was so perfect. I mean, we're talking and next thing I know, bloop, and it was like, yeah, welcome to the rodeo. Yeah, this is what happens here. It is what it is.
So you don't think if she took the drink back up there that said, hey, this is
There's something in my
oh,
drink.
you give me a new one?
I don't, to be honest, I believe there were plenty of drinks prior to that point. So
My guess is,
matter.
my guess it's on the hazards of sitting there, and you probably signed some waiver or disclaimer about quads in your
yeah,
drinks.
the things you can be hit with,
Yep.
absolutely. And I enjoy my time out there. It's a lot of fun, and we have
Or
good
as the
fun.
bull tries to climb up over the fence.
Oh,
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
Oh yeah. you see everything up close, and you know, it is really interesting. The one thing that I think I've come to appreciate more is the breeding that goes into these animals. It isn't just it's all very scientific, for lack of a better term. And every year, you know, for the Bronco riding, they bring in the horses. They literally open the arena and they just flood it with horses. And you see everything. You see the mares out there with their little babies, and you know, these animals are just beautiful. It is amazing. You know, if you get the chance, you talk to any of the livestock owners, it's like, wow. I mean, it's a crazy business to be part of. And I've enjoyed rodeo for many years. Usually later in the year, I'll go out to Vegas for National Finals Rodeo or even PBR. And so, you know, I've met I've met a lot of interesting people. I've learned interesting things, and it's a lot of fun. It's a good time.
We went to
I had a
Cody, Wyoming rodeo last summer. It was awesome.
Oh, wow. That would be cool.
It was very cool.
I had a patient several years ago that was working at the rodeo at Parkfield, which is the big rodeo next to us. And he was standing next to the gate, and a bull kicked the gate and knocked it up, and it came up and hit him right here and just shattered his jaw and just shattered all of his molars. I mean, just everything was just sheared off. You know, just did a real number on him.
It's interesting standing with the competitors. Once again, because I've had these VIP gates, so I get these young men who are, you know, bull riding, who are, you know, are competitive, and some of them are really beat up. They have seen a thing or two, and it's wow. What makes you think
by 30?
Well, I'll tell you this. I ride a motorcycle, and I look at this going, yeah, I'm not going to go get on that bull. No, nope. You know, I'd rather ride in heavy traffic through Houston than get on a bull. Yeah, no, thank you.
You know, many years ago, my cousin came home from Texas in an ambulance with a broken back. He decided he wanted to be in the rodeo.
That didn't last too long.
Yeah, he did it for a couple of years before it finally caught up to him.
No, thank you.
Yep. I had a roommate who was a bull rider, and it was definitely interesting.
You
Definitely
must have a
interesting
storm.
his stories, and you know, yeah, he got knocked around real good.
Good discussion tonight. Thanks.
Yeah, I enjoyed
Great
it. Thank you, everyone. So who would like to lead us in the 4-way test? Okay, David, please go ahead.
Of all the things we think, say, or do, first, is it the
The
truth?
truth.
Second, is it fair to
Is it
all
fair to all
concerned?
Concern.
Third, will it build
Will it
good
build
better
better
friendships?
friendships?
Fourth, is it fair
Be
to all
beneficial to
concerned?
all concerned.
Five,
Will
Will
it be
it
fun?
be fun?
six, Is it
We're gonna
legal?
get caught?
It's illegal.
We get caught.
Unless they catch you, yes. So. Thank you.
Great
Well done.
meeting,
Hey,
everybody.
everybody.
Have a
Yeah.
good week, everyone.
Week.